Hossein. So I've been hearing from a lot of customers that they've got production storage and they're struggling because it's really taxed. They're creating tons and tons of new assets. They're moving stuff off into their archive, which is great, and it has its purpose. But they're looking for a middle ground where they can keep content so that they've got quick concurrent access to it and affordability. What kind of solutions exist out there that would help them in this instance?
We designed ArcticBlue with that in mind. What ArcticBlue is an efficient, power-dense, high-density subsystem that is managed by Blackwell. It's great for infrequently accessed content. So it's great for post-production where it is used as a digital parking lot. In fact, every aspect of ArcticBlue design adheres well for disk-based archiving and nearline storage.
All right, this is great. So tell me about some of the use cases for ArcticBlue.
Cool. Well, earlier I touched on post-production environment, but in addition to that, if you are a regional sports network or if you are a team and it is at the beginning of the season and you want to have referential access to a lot of content from the last couple of seasons, you can both load them into ArcticBlue and access them as needed. It gives you that quick concurrent access that you need when you're looking for referential assets. The other environment that would be of use is in news environment. In news environment, there are a lot of stories that are created, they trickle in, we can cache those and write them to ArcticBlue, and then they can get access on a needed basis. In the news environment, quite often they keep the assets for a number of weeks or months, and ArcticBlue would do exactly that. It's great for that. The other area would be just disk-based archiving. People want to use it for a number of reasons. It could be for quick access, or it could be that they just like disk better than other storage models. So that would be a perfect solution for that.
Awesome. So obviously, content has its inherent value, and everyone is going to sleep better at night knowing that it's protected.
Yep.
What kind of safety net does ArcticBlue provide to its users to ensure that the content is there when they need to get to it?
Knowing the importance of that, we've done so much work. First and foremost, the fact that ArcticBlue is a object storage subsystem allows us to checksum every block of data or every object that we write on the back end of this subsystem. But we also use the local erasure coding against this checksum to continuously check the integrity of the assets that we protect. We also continuously check for bed drive, and if there's correction needs to be made, we go ahead and do that. We can also create multiple copies on different bands of the ArcticBlue, and should we need to reconstitute the data from another storage medium that we already have copied by the policy engines of Blackwell, we can go ahead and reconstitute that as well. So all of this stuff together basically ensures the integrity of content over the years as is expected of such subsystem.
So I get that you power down the system with ArcticBlue. What are the main benefits behind doing that?
So other than power saving, there are greater benefits to powering down or idling the drive. One of the ways that you can increase the life of a disk subsystem or disk drive is by managing the power on hours. Okay. So that's a great benefit of powering it down.
Awesome. Okay, so you're telling me that these drives sit idle, which is obviously good for power consumption and for the life cycle of the drive. So what happens if they've been sitting idle for a while?
That's a good point. We don't let these storage bands spin down for a long period of time. We do bring them up on set times. We make sure the drive is healthy and good, and the content integrity is preserved on the drive. So we check that.
So considering that the drives spin down, how does the solution address fast access to content? And what kind of performance numbers are we talking about?
So as we've talked about, we've organized ArcticBlue into disk bands, storage bands, and each of those storage bands are a stripe of 20 processor parity. Anyhow, a stripe of 20 drives delivers great performance. In fact, in average, you can expect about 800 megabytes per second performance. However, with a higher performance Blackwell front-ending ArcticBlue, we can push that number to about 3 gigabytes per second. Now, we can performance tune the subsystem as a whole by adjusting the cache that we have on the Blackwell. So we can meet the need of the workflow and the performance as needed. One of the other things that I wanted to raise attention to is that partial file recovery of ArcticBlue is going to be a lot faster. So for environment that they expect a lot of concurrent access simultaneously, for that purpose, this system just responds beautifully.
So scalability is always a huge factor to consider when you're implementing a new solution.
That's right.
How does ArcticBlue help accommodate new content growth, especially considering the file sizes are growing and content is booming?
Right. Great question. We go back right to how we organize ArcticBlue, which is a storage band.
Yep.
So the base system comes with 2 storage bands. But after that, you can add hot, extra storage bands to it, which is an extra 24 drives to it. So you can scale that, and if you want to scale beyond the first node, then you can add additional nodes. In fact, the overall system, you can have up to 8 nodes of this, scaling to about 6 petabytes of storage on ArcticBlue.
Wow. So obviously, scalability and reliability are big considerations, as is cost. What kind of price point does ArcticBlue tout?
So ArcticBlue starts at about 15 cents a gig, and as you scale it, it can be as low as 10 cents a gig. But it's not all about procuring a subsystem at a particular cost. There are other costs that are very, very important that comes into the overall cost of the subsystem. For example, ArcticBlue has a life of up to 7 years. In a typical subsystem, you have to replace them every 3 to 4 years.
Right.
So there's a lot of cost and resources, human resources, to go to that, to procure it, to deploy it, and to migrate asset from the old system to new system. That's a huge part of it. If you have a subsystem that has a life of 7 years, then you eliminate that. That's a huge cost factor. The most important factor is the fact that it lowers the burden on the production storage. That's where a lot of dollars go. So if you can replace a lot of that with lower cost solution, then you bring a lot of saving into your whole environment as a whole. That's a big factor.
So how does ArcticBlue assimilate into existing workflows?
So as you know, ArcticBlue is funded by BlackPearl. We've done a lot of work with a lot of partners, and we've integrated it into a lot of media asset management application or production asset management application. So it basically plugs right into the workflow, and the end users basically access to ArcticBlue is all through their production asset management or media asset management. So the other factor that is important is the policy engine on BlackPearl, which basically moves the data into ArcticBlue and other storage medium like tape. It makes the whole thing a seamless workflow to the whole environment.
So what you're telling me is ArcticBlue provides a sweet spot between production storage and deep storage tape, right? It provides quick access to content, concurrent access, and that it provides the scalability, the cost savings, and helps businesses meet their objectives.
It really does. It really helps them not only to manage the cost, but it also gives them that quick access that they want, that quick concurrent access that they expect from the overall subsystem. So yeah, it really truly completes the overall solution.